Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God, and today I want to talk about the Boxer, man. I've been kind of putting it off. I read it a while ago, like the first five, six chapters, and I just wasn't feeling it. I felt like it was so predictable. I knew that our main character, Yu, was going to be super OP and just be better than everybody, and Ryu wasn't really going to be a challenge, and etc. etc. And obviously, spoilers alert if you haven't read it, but I'm gonna try not to spoil too much, but because I do want you guys to read it if you haven't read it, and those that have read it already understand and appreciate it as it is if they fuck with it. But yeah, that was kind of my perception of it, and I suppose I was reading it too much as a veteran with like too much in my head already. I already could predict a lot of what I thought would happen, and it kind of sometimes knowing too much makes you slightly close-minded. Sometimes having too much experiences can cloud your judgment, and I think it definitely did for this case. But after reading it, I was kind of impressed because it's really a collection of short stories, rather than like one linear story. It is still a linear story. It still follows you, but you don't really know much about you. He's the main character, but he's like the antagonist type thing. And then you meet other characters, and I think it's one of the stories that really takes care to give everybody development, and every like enemy or any obstacles like a full background, and like really get to know them. And to be honest, most of the story is based upon Yu's opponents, you know what I'm saying? And it's based upon that, and like how they got to where they are, and how they got to be who they became, etc etc. And that's really what kind of sets it apart a little bit, because normally stories follow the protagonist, and the protagonist does things, and the protagonist does that, and you learn more about the protagonist and what the protagonist will become, and etc etc. And you do get little doses of that, but it's mainly focused on those people the protagonist has to fight against. And then you kind of get like a revelation that there are many protagonists. It's not just one protagonist, and it's like the narrative is something a bit more unique. It's not something you get every day. It's not a type of story you get every day where there's so many different characters and the story shifts from person to person, from thing to thing, and they're all interlaced and interconnected. It's almost like a collection of short stories from the same world, from the same planet, from the same universe, and it's really intriguing in that way. And I just think it's a must read, because the way it sets it up at first is frustrating, because you're like, this guy's too OP. Like, there's no, and he's not. It's not like a Saitama situation where there's something else he wants. That we can not necessarily feel or appreciate, but it's fun. Like, Saitama is fun. He's a fun character. He's stupid. He's funny, and he's OP. But the characters around him are also great. And in this, it's kind of similar. But our main protagonist is not fun. He's not. He's not somebody he's probably a fan favorite just because he's quote unquote hot to some people. And he's gloomy, dark on some Sasuke type shit. But it's I don't know, the story, narratively speaking, is just really interesting, to be honest with you. And it took me by surprise, and I was enjoying it. And then I really thought it was great when we meet a character by the name of Yuto. I don't want to tell you too much about it, but that character was just phenomenal, and he gave a different perspective to the story. He gave a different feel to the story. And it's given that Ryu is going to, which is the first technically main antagonist, that his story is nowhere near begun yet. Like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like how people's path changes depending on what they experience, and their actions, and other different things, and just the details in it. And it's like the butterfly effect, but it's really unique. And you got heroes, and you got people that are just doing what they gotta do, and you just got so many circumstances. I understand. It's like, what are you talking about? Because I can't really tell you too much, but I hope it sounds interesting enough for you that you want to go read it. And I'm not a huge fan of collection of short stories, but because everything ties together, and it's kind of threads around the main protagonist, and it all has something to do with the main protagonist. Who is he really, the main protagonist type thing? it does make sense, and a lot of these characters you introduce to are very, very interesting characters. Some of them I'm pretty sure are going to be there for the long run. Somebody like Yuto, I'm sure we'll see him again, and other characters you probably won't. You know what I mean? You might hear about here and there, but they're not going to be a big part of the story, and that's fine. And I think that's kind of the point of some of those stories, some of those tales. And it's like in life, sometimes you have people that aspire and try and work hard, but they just get nowhere because talent in a lot of situations supersedes everything else. And hard work does pay off if you have high talent and you work hard. And some people just have a higher talent threshold, and therefore they begin at such a higher level than everybody else does. But other people have the ability to just keep growing and keep growing, and other people just stunt or stop somewhere. And it's really an intriguing concept that's been taken to a new height with this story, and is pushed to the shoved to the absolute extreme. Now I'm not going to tell you it's a perfect story. I don't think it's like the highest quality story I've ever read. It's definitely emotional. I think it hits the right emotional beats, but some of the stuff I would change. Like I think, like I don't want to say it because it will spoil it, but like the strength of the protagonist is it's a bit too unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit too, because it's based upon boxing, right? Which is some kind of realism, some kind of, and I had a similar problem with Blue Lock, and the Blue Lock fan base, a bunch of crybabies just absolutely couldn't take it. At all, or any criticism for it. So, but I've caught up to this fully, so I feel like I have full right to criticize it in that way. But yeah, it's still really, really good. Narratively speaking, it's still really interesting. Some of the fundamentals of the story aren't the greatest, but it's definitely something I must highly recommend. I think it at the very least it will intrigue you and entertain you. You know what I'm saying? I read the whole thing in one night, one sitting, so that just tells you that it keeps you invested once you get past the cliches and the normal shit that you think will happen. It's really good. It's really good. But yeah, that's it, man. It's been your boy Supreme, Uchiha the God. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to hit that 700, baby. We was getting 100 subs nearly a month. I think we need to get back to that. I think that's kind of my fault because I'm not making the most popular videos right now. Mainly because I don't know, I just wasn't enjoying making videos as much when I did that. And I know we've slowed down right now, but I feel like, we can progress slowly and still reach our goal. Like, we don't have to sprint everywhere. We can jog sometimes, we can walk sometimes, and when we need to, we'll run. You know what I'm saying? I'm out.
I got friends now. You ain't know, but I got friends now. I'm balling out with my friends now. You ain't know, but I got friends now.